Hey everybody, I'm back. Round two. Normally my dogs have a nap time. It's about 3:25. What month is this? July 25th on a Monday. Welcome back. Hey, thank y'all for thumbs up and thank you to my subscribers. Continue to subscribe, please, because you know that's going to help me out tons. And man, I'm new to this gig and I'm kind of stumbling my way through, and thanks to Linda G and Jen Lynn and friends who are supporting me and for the advice I'm getting. I can use any advice right now because I'm kind of lost. So I'm just gonna stumble my way through this until I get as good as y'all, or the ones that I watch, y'all. But one thing Linda G had brought up, she did. She does these membership readings for deceased family members, and she didn't quite understand what I was trying to say on one of the videos. If I'm not mistaken, it was probably the last really short one I did. So note to self: don't try to, when you get information, save it till the next day after you've had some sleep. Because I don't think it made much sense. But if it's that video that I'm thinking it is, what I was trying to say was I had information from my guides and angels wanting me to tell y'all that the Secret Service deleted texts, they have them somewhere. They have them somewhere. They're I don't know if somebody used their personal phone and was to screenshot those off, or however you call it, taking pictures of the text messages, if they're in the cloud somewhere, or how that all works. But for some reason, I feel like they're going to find enough information to kind of shock some people. I don't know that they had absolute direct access to conversations with Trump, but maybe uh, someone giving them um, well, as they were saying, it was kind of like via head of Secret Service to them from the top. So that's where we are there. Okay, today I want to do something a little different. I would like to share a couple of paranormal stories with you guys, and they're pretty cool. I mean, for me, it was a cool experience. Always is. I've had paranormal stuff all my life, so, but this is kind of more recent, having to do with my mom. And I'm going to have to do a little bit of backstory for you guys. Around 2005, my mom, my dad, and my grandmother moved here to this little town to be close to me. And being the only kid left and stuff, I was going to be the one who would help them out through their old age, and which I loved. I wanted to be with them through their old age. And so they all packed up lock, stock, and barrel and moved from South Texas up to where I am in the beautiful hill country. They loved it here, and it was not much of a push. They were more than willing to pack up two homes and combine themselves into this one. So my mom and my grandmother had a very, very close relationship. Um, it was to the point where my mom used to always tell me, I can't lose my mom. I can't lose my mom. I just don't know what I'm going to do when mother dies. And I would just tell her, I said, I would sit there and try to make her feel better, or not think about it like that and sit there and go, sometimes they make it easy for us to accept their crossing. And my grandmother lived to be a month shy of 101. So by the time she crossed over, Mom was more understanding and ready to release her. And about a year after that, my dad passed away, so it was just Mom and me. And my mom and I were pretty close, just like my grandmother. My grandmother and my mother were so close. My grandmother still treated her like a child. And when they would move here, my mom and I would go out. My mom loved going out with me because I knew a lot of people in town, and she got to meet all sorts of folks from around the world that would come through here, tourists and whatnot. And it was just a lot of fun. We had a great time. So we were pretty close too. But the dynamic between my grandmother and my mother was just as odd as the dynamic between my mother and me. And though it worked, my grandmother and I were extremely close. We were a lot alike in a lot of ways. But it all seemed to work somehow. We all loved each other very much. So after losing my nana and losing my dad and just being Mom and me, not too long after that, Mom started showing signs of dementia, but still loved to go out with me, and so we'd go out. And this story here is right before she was diagnosed, or right after. And I had come to the house to pick her up, make sure she looked dressed to the nines, and we went out for a little while. And on our way home, and it was after dark. Well, let me back up again. I'm sorry, because I forgot to tell you this part. When my nana was alive, and my mom and I would go out gallivanting around town, or we'd go off on our little trips or whatever we'd end up doing and coming home late, my grandmother would be very upset with my mother. Very upset with my mother. Now here my mother is in her 70s, and my nana is in her 90s, and my mom's getting her butt chewed out by her mother, which I thought was hilarious, because my mother and I didn't have that relationship. It just wasn't going to happen. Nope. So to kind of give you an idea of how they were, and this happened for years, man, years, my nana would get mad at my mom for being out too late somewhere. So my mom and I go out, and we're coming home one evening after dark, and on my truck, just like many of your vehicles, when somebody calls, it calls into the vehicle, and you can see who's calling. And so the phone rings. I look down, I'm like, what? Mom's like, who is it? Answer it. And I said, it's you. She goes, me? And I said, Mom has a cell phone, but she had a landline. And it was her landline that was calling my truck. And so I hung it up. I didn't even bother to answer it, because I should have, maybe. I don't know. It might have been interesting. So we're almost home anyway. And I explained to Mom, I said, your house called my phone. And she goes, but nobody's there. And I said, I know. So we pull up, get into the house, open the door, lock the door, we come into the house. Man, I was showered with chills. It was like, wow. And Mom's like, what's wrong with you? I said, your mother is not happy with you coming in late. And she goes, she needs to get over it. And I'm like, oh, well, you tell her that, because you have a lot of explaining to do. So that was one of our experiences there. Another time, later on, I came over, got Mom dressed up, dolled up, fixed her hair, took her out, and we came home. And I always made sure the door was locked, lights were on, everything was safe and secure. And when we got back, pulled up in the driveway. The front door was wide open. The lights, all the lights were on in this house. I know, I know for a fact that I had turned all these lights off in this house and shut and locked that front door. I would not have left that door open. So again, my grandmother. She finally, as time went on, she finally quit doing that to Mom and me. I guess she finally trusted I was taking care of her good enough. But we also have a couple of spirits that live in here still, and it's a older man and an older woman. Of course, they're probably really old now, but no, they're like deceased, crossed over. And my first experience with the man was I had a little longhorn steer I was going to saddle break to ride. Yes, you heard me. And I was out cleaning his water trough out, and I heard somebody come out the back door, walking along the back porch, and as I'm cleaning his trough, he would lick me, and he licked me in the mouth, and it was pretty gross. I'm like, oh my God, he just licked me in the mouth. And I looked up because nobody answered. There's nobody. I mean, I'm hearing boots across the back porch. Nobody answered. So I'm like, okay. Because the house I lived in next door, there was always stuff going on, so it didn't bother me. No problem. I get it. I know who you are. But as my mom progressed with her dementia, not to mention all the dozens of other things that happen in here, lights going off and on, and cabinet doors, and I'd always tell my family, just tell them to quit, and they would, and they'd quit. And as my mom's dementia progressed, she started doing this thing called sundowning, where they sleep all day and they be up all night. So I had bought some video cameras. That way when Mom got up, she'd always go out to the back porch. It would let me know. I'd have one in the house, one out there. I can see her moving around. It'd set off my phone, and I know to come over and be with her. And one day I got to noticing that she's talking to someone. She's sitting in her chair out on the back porch, and she's looking up at this person, and they were doing a question answer session. And she would sit there and talk about her kids. My brother and sister have passed on, and they passed away years ago. And she'd talk about her kids, and she'd gripe about me, and she would start griping about my dad. And she swore up and down that my dad and grandmother ran away together and had an affair. She swore to that one. She swore that one till almost the day she died. But didn't happen. And she would sit there and tell this lady about how my dad... Oh, the other one was my dad ran away with a carnival. I hadn't figured that one out yet. So, depending on the day and what frame of mind she was in, she'd be telling this lady about my dad, griping about my dad. And then she says, yours too? And they would have this conversation. Now, I would just watch on my phone and listen in amazement how these two women, one a ghost, a spirit, one not, still, after their husbands have died, would not give these men any peace. They were still griping about those men. Oh, God bless them. So, anyway, that's my story for today. That's just a few of them, and I still have them. I still have the man and the woman, and when I have company, they'll touch them on the face or touch them on the foot in the back bedroom. And I've just recently hired a company to help me get my mom's and grandmother's stuff sorted so I can get some of the stuff out of the house. It's time to let stuff go. And the first day that the company came in to help me get things sorted, because I am not a sorted person. I'm just not. That's why I just kind of need to minimalize a lot. That way I don't have to be so scatterbrained with it. But the first day they came over and started helping sort all the stuff out, and they left that evening. Somebody was over there in the boxes moving things around and nosing around in it. And that was probably my mom. That was probably mom going, "Don't get rid of this. Keep that. You don't know if you need that or not. This was mine." So I know they probably don't care. But and for any of y'all who have lost your moms or your siblings or anything in life, just know that they're around. And I know my mom's around. The first time I got to leave to go on a little trip, I went to go see some family over at the coast, over in Rockport, Texas. And my mother was with me the whole trip, and I felt her with me the whole trip. And it was nice. I had to tell her to quit talking so much, because she would talk a lot. She talked a lot. Yeah. And it's like, yes, that's where we got the horse. Yes, that's where so-and-so used to run that. Yep, yes, that's where we used to live. Yes. And finally it's like, we can just be quiet and enjoy the ride. I used to tell her that in life too. Yeah. Hope that didn't make me sound bad. But I've heard the stories. Anyway, I want to thank y'all for coming. I don't think I forgot anything on this one. Hope you enjoy it. Hey, thumbs up. That's going to help me. And please subscribe. Next time I'm going to try to come out, tell you different stories. I've experienced a lot of weird stuff in life. And another thing I'd really like to ask y'all to do is go to my email address, Demaris, Demaris, Wilson, Wilson, 444 at Gmail. And you're welcome to post some questions for me, whether it's a short personal read. I might even get out the pendulum if y'all want to do some yes and no stuff. Or share your ghost stories and I'll read them on here also. I'll be happy to share them. I'm just kind of feeling my way around, see what y'all like, what entertains you, and I could use your help. Give me some ideas. Otherwise, you're just going to listen to me ramble. I think I'm done rambling. Well, until we meet again. Shoo!